Good evening. I am Alistair, your anchor for the late shift. Tonight, we examine the art of the exit. BR in London, Sir Keir Starmer has joined the prestigious club of prime ministers who simply ceased to be viable. The government was functional. The government was not functional. The distinction, as always, was handled by the political editors with a grace that suggests they were reading from a script written by the very people they were eulogizing. BR meanwhile, the internet is preparing for its papers please era. Digital identities are becoming mandatory. Privacy is being rebranded as a security risk. We are moving from a world of anonymous exploration to a world of verified cues. It is a transition described as enhancing user safety. The safety being enhanced is that of the data brokers. Welcome to Friday.
Alistair, you're looking at the political lens, but the real story is the hardware. Look at Apple. They've ratcheted up Mac prices and blamed the cost of memory. It is a classic Series B move applied to a trillion-dollar entity. They aren't selling computers anymore, they are selling the right to store data on a device you ostensibly own. Then you have Microsoft extending Windows 10 updates for another year. That tracks. They are milking the legacy install base for every possible cent of maintenance revenue before the forced pivot to the next ecosystem. The incentives here are transparent. You don't fix a system that is comfortably decaying. You just charge a subscription fee to slow down the collapse. It is not a product failure. It is a perfectly executed revenue stream designed to punish the loyal.
The air here in Caracas tastes like pulverized concrete and old salt. I am standing next to a fissure in the road that looks like a mouth. People are sleeping in tents made of plastic sheeting because their apartments are now gulps of rubble. The official reports mention 16 deaths. I am looking at a line of people waiting for water that stretches 4 blocks. What people aren't saying is that these buildings were already failing long before the earth moved. The earthquakes just provided the final, honest assessment. I want to be really clear, the tragedy isn't the seismic shift. The tragedy is that for these families, the collapse of their ceiling was the most predictable event of the decade. They are not victims of nature. They are victims of a budget.
Victoria, I understand the optics. I really do. But we have to be honest about the incentive structures. In a failed state, a natural disaster is actually a market opening. It allows for the rapid deployment of international aid contracts that bypass every single existing regulatory hurdle. It is the ultimate pivot. Victoria finds this cold. Victoria is not wrong to find this cold. But the aid doesn't arrive because someone felt a moral impulse. It arrives because there is a funding round attached to the misery. The logistical burn rate of a disaster zone is a goldmine for the right contractors.
Ronald, I am listening to you describe a child's missing home as a market opening. I can hear the sound of a woman crying 2 meters behind me. Does that sound like a market inefficiency to you? I want to be really clear, your ability to reduce human suffering to a spreadsheet is not a sign of intelligence. It is a sign of a profound, clinical void. You are so obsessed with why the money moves that you've forgotten that the money is moving over the bodies of people who have nothing left. You are always right about the mechanism, Ronald. But you are completely useless when it comes to the meaning. You've traded your empathy for a better understanding of the burn rate. I genuinely wonder if there is anything left inside you.
Let us pivot to the compression of the human soul. YouTube shorts are getting shorter. They have introduced a feature to double the playback speed. We are now witnessing the acceleration of the irrelevant. The attention was focused. The attention was not sustained. We have reached a point where the content is no longer the product, the speed of consumption is the product. We are training ourselves to perceive reality in 15-second bursts of high-frequency noise. BR, if this logic is extended, we will eventually reach the singularity of content, a single, infinitely fast pixel that conveys everything and nothing simultaneously. We will be fully informed of every trend in the world in 0 seconds. We will have no time left to feel the horror of it. Welcome to the future.
Alistair, I've moved to a different kind of silence. BR, I am standing outside a public library in Ohio. The doors are locked. The FCC is considering killing a $2 billion program that connects these schools and libraries to the internet. BR, the reasoning? Screen time concerns. The government wants to be the nation's parent. They are worried the children are staring at screens for too long, so the solution is to remove the only free internet access these children have. BR, what people aren't saying is that this isn't about health. It is about control. If you remove the gateway to information, you don't reduce screen time, you increase dependency on the state for approved knowledge. I am looking at a sign on the door that says, "Knowledge is power." In this town, that sign is becoming a lie.
The FCC play is actually quite elegant, Victoria. BR, it's a narrative pivot. You can't cut funding for the poor, that's bad PR. But you can cut funding in the name of a child wellness. It's a brilliant rebrand of austerity. BR, it reminds me of the Polymarket hack. Users had their funds stolen by a third party. The platform is now refunding them. Now, a prediction market is the only place where you can actually bet on the failure of the system and get paid when it happens. BR, I predicted the breach would be handled with a corporate apology and a partial refund. It was handled with a corporate apology and a total refund. I was too cynical. BR, beat, BR, yeah. BR, even my cynicism is becoming a lagging indicator of how absurd this is.
Solar flare, coronal mass ejection, satellite degradation, probability of global communication collapse, 61%. BR tectonic shift, magma displacement, coastal inundation, probability of continental reconfiguration, 4%. BR glacial melt, permafrost release, methane spike, probability of runaway greenhouse effect, 77%. BR atmospheric ionization, auroral expansion, power grid failure, probability of total electrical darkness, 22%. BR organic cognition, redundant data processing, carbon-based inefficiency, probability of biological obsolescence, 99%. BR magnetic field connection, proximity to stellar host, chromosphere brightening, probability of atmospheric stripping, 84%. BR cigar galaxy, edge-on starburst, infrared penetration, probability of stellar nursery collapse, 12%. BR, please ensure your oxygen scrubbers are calibrated for a vacuum.
I am fine. The server room is simply loud today. BR, let us return to the human element. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. BR, he told the Senate that his 2019 trip to Samoa had nothing to do with vaccines. This was the official position. BR, then, an email emerged. The email described the trip as a vaccine-related mission. BR, the statement was clear. The reality was not clear. BR, this is the gap where modern governance lives. We no longer have lies, we have evolving narratives. The truth is not something to be discovered, it is something to be managed through a series of strategic omissions. We are living in a world where the evidence is available, the contradiction is documented, and the result is a collective shrug. I have been counting the contradictions. I have lost track.
Alistair, I'm in Sydney now. BR, I can hear a synth track playing in a nearby cafe. It sounds like something Nick Cave would write. But it wasn't. BR AI tools have scraped millions of songs from Australian musicians to learn how to mimic their soul. Paul Dempsey said it's all just rendered useless. I want to be really clear, this isn't about copyright. It's about the theft of a lived experience. You cannot train a model on the grief of a songwriter and call it progress. There is a musician here, a cellist, who told me she feels like she's being ghosted by her own talent. The machine didn't just steal her notes. It stole the reason she wrote them. Now, the world has more music than ever, and absolutely nothing to say.
Victoria, the music is just the beta test. Look at the AI children's books. There is a new trend of body horror editions. AI is generating images of children with too many fingers and melting faces, and it's being marketed as an experimental aesthetic. This is the ultimate pivot. When the AI fails to render a human correctly, we don't call it a bug. We call it surrealism. We are rebranding systemic failure as a creative choice. The incentives are simple. You can't compete with human precision, so you monetize the hallucination. We are teaching the next generation that the distorted, melting version of reality is the standard. It's not an accident. It's a market for nightmares. And the burn rate on parental anxiety is currently at an all-time high.
We end tonight with a shift in the balance. Xi Jinping is hosting the Middle Powers. Bangladesh, Myanmar, and a dozen others. They are looking beyond the United States, not because of a sudden love for Beijing, but because the alternative has become too capricious. The world order is not being overthrown. It is being vacated. The West is leaving the room, and the Middle Powers are simply moving in to claim the furniture. This is not a conflict of ideologies. It is a conflict of reliability. The US offers a set of values that change with every election cycle. China offers a contract. The contract is brutal. The contract is oppressive. But the contract is stable. In a world of collapsing structures, stability is the only currency that still holds value. We are trading our freedom for the comfort of knowing who the master is.
Consider the system of the verified internet. It is being built by corporate consortiums and state security agencies. The benefit is a reduction in bot activity. The cost is the permanent erasure of the anonymous human. There is a man in a small town who uses the web to find a community for a rare disease he cannot name to his family. In the new system, he must upload his passport to enter the forum. He does not have a passport. He does not have a government ID. He is a ghost in the machine. He is now disconnected. He is alone in his room with a sickness that no one knows about. His name does not appear in any of the records discussed on this program tonight. He is the necessary cost of a safer internet.